Hi everybody, Debra here. And in January of 2019, I was blessed to be a part of the Arizona set of Nomadland. I was an extra on the set, and every day we got to stay there and camp there, and it was awesomeness. In fact, I'm camped here now, and I know that Carolyn's RV Life said that she made her video about Nomadland and out here, but I haven't seen her. I've been camped here almost all winter. I would have liked to have seen her. I did see one of the actresses that has a major supporting role and is one of the stars of the movie camped out here. And no, I'm not going to tell you where it is. It is the scene that was created out here and recorded out here, that's YouTube, filmed out here, was the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous scenes. And Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, the RTR, was founded by Bob Wells of Cheap RV Living. And so a lot of the movie was filmed in the days that we were out here, and it's a fabulous spot. It's a beautiful spot, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. In fact, I wish that they had made that part of our contract that we could never ever share where this location is, but they didn't do that. I just wish that they had. And no, that's not one of the 4 things that I'm going to talk about today. We'll talk about those 4 things that I think the movie got wrong, as well as some of the wonderful things about the movie, coming right up. Okay, first of all, I need to say that I love the movie and the fabulous cast and crew. There are only 2 Hollywood actors in the movie, and if you have been paying any attention to the movie Nomadland at all, you know that one of the actresses is Frances McDormand, and she is a 2-time Academy Award winner. She's won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards as well, and a Tony Award. And the other Hollywood actor is David Strathairn. He is an Emmy Award winning actor as well, and Academy Award nominated. I have been following David Strathairn since he was in Sneakers, the 1992 movie. I believe it was 1992, with Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Ben Kingsley, Dan Aykroyd. River Phoenix was in that, and so was Bodie Elfman. Bodie Elfman went on in 1995 to marry one of my other favorite actresses, and that's Jana Elfman, and they are still together. So it was just a very special time for me. The rest of the cast is by real people, and many of the Nomads are friends of mine. I'll share pics from the set and some of the trivia in my video tomorrow. But just to be clear, I love this movie and I love this way of life. In fact, I have written 3 books. Kaleidoscope 9. Can y'all see that? The Journey Begins, based on true stories out here, and A Pigeon Story. My next book that I'm currently working on is How Being a Nomad Saved My Life. If you're new to my channel, I have a traumatic brain injury. In 2015, my then neurosurgeon told me and my trustee that I might see 2016, but I wouldn't know it. And she took me to lunch that day. It was really brutal to hear that. And she said if there ever was a time to do a bucket list, now is the time. And so we bought my 2005 Ford cargo van known as Fancy Free. And I lived in Fancy Free up until June of 2020, where I now have an RV, but I lived in Fancy Free full-time for 5 years. I've been on the road since 2015. And I first started with my 2 senior dogs, Nani and Bentley, but they've since passed. And I'm now in a remodeled vintage Class C, as I said, since June, with my rescue dog, Bandit. Being out in nature is, in this way of life and this community of nomads, truly has saved my life. I believe that with all my heart. It was truly an honor to be an extra on the set. And you can see my name as well as my other Nomad friends who were there in the credits for the Arizona section. My 2 minutes of fame can be seen like 24 to 26 minutes in. You will see me doing Tai Chi in the back as Frances McDormand walks by. That was our role. We had a Tai Chi teacher and we were in a class as she walked by. And then you'll see me sitting behind Frances McDormand over her left shoulder in a class they used that picture for a class that Bob was teaching. And then you can see me again in a bucket class that Sue Ann Carlson is teaching. So you might have to squint, but you can see me, and it was such fun. In fact, around 30 minutes into the movie, you'll see Fern at Joe's Tires in Blythe, California. And don't worry, guys, I'm not going to give any spoiler away on this video today, so you don't have to worry about that. But I just have to share that that's where I got my tires on my van, Fancy Free, in December of 2018. And I had spent Christmas alone in my van out in the wilderness because I got a flat tire and I couldn't. I didn't have the strength and everything to change it, and AAA wouldn't come out that far. And so after the holidays, Nomads came to the rescue like we do for each other out here, which was portrayed beautifully in the movie. And they took me to that same tire shop. So I can definitely identify with Fern in those scenes with Swanky. And I have more fun trivia coming up for you guys and behind the scenes stuff, but let's talk today about the 4 things I think the movie got wrong. Okay, number 1, knocking. We don't ever do that, ever, not really. In fact, in January 2017, me and a bunch of my friends, including Sue Ann Carlson, Jim and Shannon, and Roxy, all of who can be seen in the movie, we did a spoof video about things that you don't do out here, and knocking was one of them. And Jim did a great job on that particular segment of the spoof. But we cover a lot of camping etiquette issues in that video, and at the end we go over how to properly handle the points that we had fun with making fun of in our theatrical spoof. But how to approach a vehicle out here, you usually walk up and you call out and you wait for somebody to answer. You might get a little closer if you think they didn't hear you and call out again. But we don't just walk up and knock on doors unless somebody's expecting us, or unless it's a small group of people and you know that that's okay, but that wasn't really portrayed in the movie. They just went around knocking on each other's doors. Out here, a knock means that it's law enforcement officers, Leos, or that somebody has an emergency or something. So knocks aren't necessarily good out here. But if you want to see more, watch my spoof video. You can get the link right here. And also, I am putting in the video description and pinned comment links to, I presented for the 2nd time at an RTR this year, and this year it was virtual online. But I presented a class, co-presented with Joni, a class on camping etiquette. And those links are in the video and pinned description as well. Number 2, work camping, also known as seasonal workers. So in the movie, it's a little glossed over and polished. They do show some hardships, and they do show how grueling it can be, and especially the weather and everything, depending on what you're doing for seasonal work. But they didn't portray like I know Linda May in the movie. In real life, she suffered dizziness from the long hours and everything at Amazon and ended up in the ER. She had a repetitive motion injury from using the scanner for hours on end. And then another time in California, she even broke a rib at a camp host job. And Charlene Swanky, also in the movie, has had 3 cracked ribs when she was camp hosting in the Rockies. I know people that have had, and this isn't just any one particular place, but they've had concussions and broken legs. And I know that any job can have an injury. There's job-related injuries everywhere, but I just think that part got a little bit skipped over in the movie. But keep in mind, they only have so long to work with and to take Jessica Bruder's fabulous book and create this movie. So not everything could be thrown into this movie, and they did a good job of giving you an overall view of what it's like, but it didn't show really the hazardous duty that it can come around from work camping or migrant work or seasonal work, as it's called. And while I'm at it, I want to say that any of my resources that I used for information that I'm sharing with you today, look again at the video description and the pinned comment, and you will find links in there that you can do your own research. The 3rd thing is one aspect. They cover one aspect of nomad life, and a lot of people are saying that the movie is gloomy, melancholy, or dark. And it's true that it misses a lot of the joy we experience out here and the true connection that we get with nature. which are the things, honestly, that have saved my life, and that will be in my next book. But people are saying that it doesn't capture the thrill experienced by those of us out here by choice. There are even some YouTubers that have talked about that, but I want to address it from a different perspective. First, I had been planning this way of life as my official retirement. I bought a vintage Class B and named her Fiona, and was having her redone, see, head to toe, top to bottom, and including the interior and exterior, and I was even going to have the engine replaced. And I was thinking about even maybe lifting her a little bit. So I had all these plans, and all I had left was the engine and the interior design. Well, and then I was going to have her repainted, but I'd already replaced all the components and everything. So this was going to be my lifestyle by choice, but then a pesky little brain injury and brain surgery got in the way of my plans, and I lost everything. I lost my 322 home, my husband, my career, my retirement packages, that RV, you name it. Within 2 years, it was all gone. I now live this lifestyle by choice, but even if I wanted to, you guys, I can't afford to go back to sticks and bricks or even apartment living on my disability income. I just can't. So I kind of fall into both categories. For the Nomads and others that are disappointed that the movie doesn't capture, I'd say more of the pretty and glamorous Instagram moments, you need to know that the movie is more what it is like out here in real life, at least to me, and at least what I've experienced in my 6 years on the road. Then it is those pretty pictures that you fall in love with on Instagram and the internet. And I'm talking about full-time people, people that do this 24/7, 365 days a year, and primarily boondock. I'm not talking about people that go from RV park to RV park and have hookups. And but there are as many ways to be a nomad as there are rigs to live in. In fact, Robert Witham has written a great book. It's called How to Be a Successful 21st Century Nomad. And he covers in it all the things you need to know. In fact, choosing a rig. And also, you need to know that he has Nomad 101 lifestyle courses on Nomad Lifestyle 101 courses on his website. Those links will be in the video description and pinned comment. And if you use the discount code Nomadland because you watch this video, you get 20% off. But I want to read you this quote that is in his chapter, Choosing a Vehicle. The opening quote is by Henry David Thoreau. But most men do not know what a house is, and the mass are actually poor all their days because they think they must have such an one as their neighbors. All right, so that just sums up everything. Sums up the movie. Sums up the rat race we find ourselves in. But and again, this movie is based on Jessica Bruder's non-fiction bestseller. She published that book in 2017 after 3 years of traveling with nomads, doing work camping, living as a nomad, and extensively researching nomads. And specifically, a recent article in Esquire states the movie is based on her investigation of transient American seniors who follow seasonal employment while living out of their vans. So it's not a Hollywood movie, you guys, based on glamour. It's not an Instagram moment. It's a real life capture of exactly that. People forced to live this lifestyle in their vans following seasonal employment. And I just have to say kudos to all involved, and I want to get into that a little bit more. Kudos to Jessica Bruder for her extensive work on capturing this segment of nomads, and for her brilliant work in her book. And I'm so blessed. I got this book, and she signed it for me, and I'm so blessed. And thank you, Jessica. And kudos to Chloe Zhao, who adapted the screenplay and directed the movie and even did the editing. And Frances McDermott and Peter Spears, who optioned the book early on and produced the movie, are just heroes of mine. Because, I mean, there's a lot of guys involved in this movie. In fact, the director of photography, stay tuned for my trivia video tomorrow. I'll share something with you about some other people and some behind the scenes photos and stuff. But and Frances McDermott, forgive me, but an older female commissioned this book took the rights out on this book. Optioned, that's the word I'm looking for. Optioned this book early on. Then she went and got Chloe Zhao, an up-and-coming director who I would say by now has arrived, to do this video, written by a female, based on mostly females, and the executive producer was a female. So it about nomads and work campers and living in a van when you're forced to. So it is a fringe upon fringe upon fringe movie, and I'm just so dang proud of this movie overall because for so many reasons. But I think it's going to be even just a cult classic because of all of that. And it was also produced by Dan Janvey, and Molly Asher is the executive producer I mentioned. And she is one of the most intelligent, professional, friendly, and fun people I've ever met. I wish we could hang out more because she was just awesome. And what a pleasure it was to get to know her and the others. And I'll share more about that in my upcoming trivia video. But if you expect this movie to be lighthearted and pretty throughout, then yeah, you're probably going to be disappointed. But you will have missed a lot of what it's about and what's being presented to you. And a lot of life lessons are in this movie. So I encourage you not to do that, not to go into it with expectations and look for the pretty IG moments. Watch it for the beautiful masterpiece that it is. And there's also the beautiful moments. There's dancing in there. There's personal friendships that develop, and they have fun, and they go to events, and then not to mention the incredible landscapes and scenery, and you get a sense of those not aha, but moments that we have out here. I call them the whipped cream moments. There's the real life, which the movie beautifully depicts, and then there's those moments that just make it all worth it. And if you look for that, you can feel the joy and elation when those scenes comes up. And that's the reason why most of us on the road love this lifestyle, even though it is not for the faint of heart. Okay, number 4, based on. Let's talk about that for a minute because, perhaps they didn't do a good enough job of marketing this as a movie based on the non-fiction bestseller. From Jessica's website, it says that she writes about subcultures and social issues. She doesn't do Hollywood glamour. She just does beautiful research, and she's a beautiful writer. I don't even know what else to say around that. But I suspect the lack of extensively promoting it as a based on movie is on Searchlight Pictures, who's the final owner of the movie, not the fabulous cast and crew. And also keep in mind, we're in the day and age of a pandemic, you guys. This release of this major motion picture has been anything but normal, right? I mean, in normal commercial marketing, maybe the based on aspect might have been magnified more, but one only has to do a quick Google search or read a few articles to know that it is based on the book by the same name. And again, kudos, Jessica. If you didn't read the book, then you still might be surprised by the reality of the movie when you watch it. But that doesn't distract from what it is. It's real, it's raw, it's closer to real life out here than anything else being presented right now. I can guarantee you that. So, I just want to establish that it's not a pretty IG moment, but it is real. So I got to share something with you, and I'll be sharing more trivia tomorrow, like I said. But so early on in the opening of the movie, Fern goes to off the side of the road, away from the road, to relieve herself. And I can't tell you how many people that are in Facebook groups and Nomad Facebook groups and forums and everything are just really offended by that and how that might make nomads come across and everything. Well, I got to tell you, I grew up, and my Uncle Thomas was a cross-country truck driver, and a few summers when I was out of school, I got to literally travel with him coast to coast. And sometimes at one time I forgot, but we went into Canada, but I experienced that. And when you're traveling, even as a little girl and traveling with family, and you'll see people on the side of the road, there's just not always a way to make it to the next stop and go to a restroom. So I don't know why people are pinning that on nomads. And then also, I grew up on a farm, and you're out in the you're plowing and doing different chores, and you're not going to take the tractor all the way back to the house just to use the restroom. And I don't know if you've ever done any camping and fishing and hunting in tents and that kind of camping, but there's not restrooms usually there either. Carry in, carry out. I taught a class recently about that, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I'm not saying anything other than, it's not about nomads. But I watched that and I'm like, why is she going on the side of the road? Because we have everything we need in our vehicles. Now, granted, 5 years I was in my van and now I'm in an RV, but it dawned on me, I remembered, you guys, when I first came out here in 2015, my first campmate for many months was Bob Wells. And it was a small group. We would travel and we'd go meet some of his friends, and then we'd go meet some of his other friends. And it was just a small group of people. And it's hard to believe that. I can't imagine what Bob's life is like these days. But I was so blessed to learn from the best. And I'm so proud of him and for his success. But I had a porta potty at the time. And I didn't know any better, and so I would pee in this porta potty, and then I'd pour all my kitty litter in, and tie it up, and I was just going through this kitty litter like crazy. And I said that to Bob. I'm like, I'm going to go broke, and he's like, no, you do a separate. Well, back in the old days, they used to call them chamber pots, but he's like, you do a separate pee bucket from your porta potty, and I was like, oh, and so it dawned on me. Fern is a newbie. She doesn't have things set up yet. And like me, when I came out here, I didn't. Bob took me shopping for my oven and my heater, and I was on the floor on a sleeping bag, no insulation, me and my 2 dogs, and duffel bags. That's all I had. And I thought, even that is real. And so people should not be offended. It is a realistic movie. And if you want to know more than that, you'll have to wait for my book for me to share more things. But my next 3 videos are on Nomadland. This one today, and tomorrow will be trivia. And then this weekend, I'm going to share 2 videos on my reaction to Carolyn's RV Life's Nomadland video, and my reaction to Robin Creativity RV, her Nomadland video. That was a lot to get out. And then next week I'll go back to regular programming, I promise. But in the meantime, I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if you've watched the movie, if you've read the book, what you think about it, and did you get to see me in any of the scenes back behind there. I did not have a speaking role, and I'm just, again, so proud of everyone for this movie and proud to have been on the set daily. A lot of the people had to get bussed in from Women's RTR and only got to be there a few hours, several times. But living on the set while they filmed for those, I think it was almost 2 weeks, was just mind-boggling. And I'm glad to be a part of it. Let me know if you've seen the movie or read the book. As always, please subscribe to my channel and like, share, and comment. I appreciate it. And we'll see you down the road, everybody. Keep on keeping on.